What's up, Barry? Just give me a minute here, guys. Whew, that was a crazy party we had last week, wasn't it? Yeah, that was pretty intense. Honestly, I mean, Oda, I love you, man. You could give me all the One Piece you got. Keep giving me the One Piece, but I think we could have dealt with a break this week, you know? Like an extra 7 days or so to deal with the revelation of Goldie Roger's bounty. That was pretty intense, which, by the way, I'm gonna have to update this because, yeah, it's, significantly higher than that number there. Ace, you're not around anymore, so your bounty could stay the same. You're good, buddy. You guys got a lot of stuff to live up to now, right? Like the Straw Hat Pirates, you now have goals to set. Now, I know a lot of people were saying because Roger's bounty was 5.5 billion, of course, Oda likes to do that pun stuff, you know, like go moo 56, you know, so therefore Luffy's bounty by the end of the story, it needs to be 5.6 billion. But you know what? That's not good enough for me. Oda, that pun stuff, that's for you, all right? I want Luffy to have a 6 billion berry bounty by the end of this story. Zoro, I want you to have 5 swords and over a 4 billion berry bounty. Brook, let me tell you something, Brook. 83 million, that does not even approach the net worth of the Soul King, all right? His bounty should reflect his total record sales, which I guarantee you is higher than 83 freaking million. Nami, your bounty better be the same as your bra size, and I know 66 is not accurate for any of that. Let's see here. Robin, you are absolutely perfect the way you are. You can get a bigger bounty, whatever, it's fine, I don't care, but you're absolutely perfect and divine the way you are. Chopper, all right, you need to get the let out, Chopper. I want to see Chopper with a 1 million berry bounty by the end of this story. I know that's a tall order to fill. You might think it's impossible, but you know what? I want it to happen, or I will push the button. Okay, actually, if all that stuff happened the way I explained it, like, let's say by the end of the One Piece story, every Straw Hat has over 1 billion, except for Chopper. If Chopper did manage to get to 1 million, like Luffy 6 billion, freaking Zoro 4 billion, Brook 3 billion, Nami 1 billion, you know, whatever, and then Chopper just gets 1 million, he would be ecstatic about that. He would be so happy. He would be crying. He's like, it's finally, at least I got the freaking 7 digits, you know? Usopp and Luffy would be patting him on the back. He's like, you did it, buddy. You finally did it. Like, oh, we did it. I got 1 million berries. See, everybody see 1 million berries right there. So, okay. Now, this week's chapter, a little bit shorter than most, but considering the early Christmas present Oda gave to us last week, I don't think anybody would be upset. Okay, so we got chapter 958 titled The Promised Port, of course referring to the Tokage port, which is the lizard port where the rebellion is going to be rendezvousing to launch their raid on Onigashima during the Fire Festival. Alright, so we have Act 3 of Wano beginning this week. However, we have a few things to go over before that. So first thing, we have the cover page. We got Beiji and Chiffon and the rest of the Fire Tank crew. We got them arriving at Dressrosa. We find a mysterious ponytailed guitar man hanging out next to the port, and he's like, you know they Lola. I know they Lola. Lola just left here a few days ago. So, unfortunately, they just missed her, which means that, yeah, she was in Water 7 during the cover page, but that was like a while ago. Like, that was a few years ago we got the cover page. In the context of One Piece, that was at least a few months to work with here, right? Actually, you know what? No, and I think the cover page took place after the time skip. It didn't take place during the time skip, so yeah. So, yeah, it gave her a few months to go from Water 7 over to the New World, which is definitely feasible, right? As long as Reverie wasn't going on and everything. So, yeah, makes sense why Lola would have just been in Dressrosa, because she's searching for a husbando, and Dressrosa, of course, is the country of love and passion, so there would be a few available husbandos there. So the guitarist definitely knows about her, so he could maybe at least point her in the right direction. This might be a retroactive adventure through all the islands the Straw Hats visited, you know? Like, freaking Guitar Man just points off into the distance, and he's like, yes, the Lola went in that direction. And they end up at Punk Hazard by accident, or maybe they end up at one of the islands like the Mysterion Island, or the Risky Red Island, or the Raijin Island, the islands that the Straw Hats should have went to when they got to the New World, but instead they went to Punk Hazard, which was like off the freaking reservation to begin with. It's just like, okay, you're beginning a new quest in an RPG. You can go here, here, or here. I choose to run in the opposite direction of all 3 of those things. It's like, alright, that's just lovely. Alright, so anyway, that's a good cover page. We're gonna continue on that adventure there. So before we get into Act 3, we have a flashback of Roger's crew. not yet. I'm not pressing that yet. So anyway, no, we do not usually get flashbacks with Roger just hanging out with his crew. I mean, they've happened before, but they're usually very brief. This one is a good, like, 3-4 pages of Roger just hanging out on the Oro Jackson with the rest of his crew just having a party. I think the most substantial flashback we ever really got with Roger was the flashback with him and Whitebeard at the end of Marineford. Right before Whitebeard was about to die, he flashed back to his last meeting with Roger when they were hanging out in that beautiful place at the waterfall and the cherry blossoms everywhere, and they were drinking sake, which was most likely Wano. So they're there, and, you know, Roger's basically telling Whitebeard, you know, I'm not much for this world left, you know, I'm sick, I'm dying, and he tells him about the Will of D, and they talk about Raftel or Laugh-Tail, and Roger's like, you know, do you want to know how to get to Laugh-Tail, Whitebeard? I can tell you, you know. And Whitebeard's like, nah, don't bother, Roger, I don't have any interest in that place. I just want to get a family. I don't care about finding the mysterious blibbity-blue treasure or whatever. So that's the kind of guy Whitebeard was. So that was a pretty elaborate backstory or flashback we got there. I believe we also got a flashback at Fishman Island because it was the whole thing with the Sea Kings remembering that there was another human a few years ago that could hear them the same way Luffy heard them. So we had a little bit of a flashback to Roger there. And I think Pedro had one. I think it was elaborated a little bit more in the anime. But right before Pedro's sacrifice, he remembered when he met Roger at Zoe all those years ago and how Roger, you know, Pedro wanted to go with him. And Roger's like, no, you know, tiny little kitty cat mink, don't worry. There's a time and place for everybody to step onto the stage, basically. And so Pedro realized, you know, his moment was, you know, against Perospero and, you know, doing that and everything. But, yeah, I mean, this is really cool. So we see the Oro Jackson in all of its splendor and its giant Yoshi egg that it still has on its deck. So I really hope Oda explains that at some point. Every time he draws the Oro Jackson, there's just a giant Yoshi dinosaur egg hanging out there. I'm thinking dragon egg. How are you guys thinking? You thinking dragon egg? I'm thinking dragon egg. Okay, so there's a party, and this is 25 years ago, so it's slightly before the beginning of the Great Pirate Era. Something to keep in mind here. The Great Pirate Era officially began 24 years ago at Roger's execution because he was the one that was like, you know, you want my treasure, mateys! You can have it! I left everything I own in that place. Now you just got to find it! And then they shing, you know, and they ended it there. At that moment was when the Great Pirate Era truly began. It didn't actually begin when he found the One Piece or when he ended his adventure, okay? It wasn't until his execution that actually started. So, this takes place 25 years ago. Oden is there, Buggy's there, Shanks is there, Rayleigh, we see Scopper Gabon, we see Crocus, we see Seagull. So, it's entirely possible this could be after they found the One Piece. By the way, a few people have been curious, like, why do you keep saying Roger found the One Piece? I thought he, like, created it. It seems to imply from the Vivre card we got, you know, from Roger's perspective, that the One Piece was something that he did discover on Laugh-Tail. Or he found Laugh-Tail and he found this secret treasure that's been here since the Void Century, which that makes more sense. I mean, I'm sure Roger, throughout his years as a pirate, collected vast amounts of treasure and stuff, and bounty, and he just threw it maybe on Laugh-Tail too. That's what I think part of the One Piece is going to be. I think when they get to the island, you know, they're going to find this massive treasure room, and yeah, it's going to be something physical for their reward. It's going to be a mountain of gold and diamonds, and Nami's going to have she's just going to pass out from witnessing it, you know, but that's not all it's going to be. It's going to be all the treasure maybe Roger accumulated in his travels, but then yeah, there's going to be something else there that's been there since the Void Century, long before Roger was ever even born, all right? I think that's the true nature of the One Piece, but, you know, this could take place after. They could be hanging out on the Oro Jackson, sailing away from Laugh-Tail, having a party, you know? And so Roger, he's just like, oh, you know, what's all this sentimental crap you're spouting here, Oden? Because Oden is there, and don't get too excited, he's still in silhouette, so we don't see him. He's just there drinking the sake as well. And he's like, man, I'm glad I joined you guys, Roger. This was a lot of fun here. And Roger's like, what are you doing, all that sentimental crap? And Crocus is in the background like, Roger, you're drinking too much. He's like, I don't have to take any of this from a drunk doctor. Yeah, well, I'm your doctor. I can drink, you can't drink because I'm your doctor. Yeah, so Crocus and Roger are kind of butting heads there. We figured Roger was a little bit of a drunk, so that's understandable there. You know, Rayleigh's there, and he's just like, oh, do you need any help with something, Oden? Because the way Oden is speaking, he seems just kind of like, you know, very, not morose, that's not the right word. It's just very, very emotional, I guess. He's just like, man, guys, yeah, this has been a crazy journey. Never knew what I would do if I never met you guys. You know, like he's gearing up to ask them something. And of course, the Roger pirates all love Oden. So they're just like, yeah, Oden, what do you need? Even Roger, I mean, even Buggy and Shanks are there. And of course, they're apprentice pirates at this point. But Buggy's like, I can help you out, Oden. I can lend you a hand. See, check it out. Pop. He just pops off his hand. Here you go. Shanks is just like, yeah, I can do it too. Do you need any help with anything? We're here to help out our crewmates, right? I mean, you got God Buggy offering to help you out, Oden. I think you can accomplish anything, right? So, Oden just kind of rears back a little bit, and he's like, well, I mean, I appreciate it, guys. I really do. I appreciate it, you know, Shanks, Taro, Buggy, Jiro indicating the second son of the family because it's like Shanks is Buggy's older brother or senior in this respect, right? And Buggy's like, how come I'm always the Jiro? I'm like, well, don't worry, Buggy. You can be a Jiro. Have you ever read Toriko? Jiro's pretty badass, all right? He turns into a giant wolf creature thing and punches people really hard, you know, so yeah, I would, that's also what Buggy could do, I'm just saying, alright? But yeah, Oden goes on to say that ever since he can remember, as far back as the history of Wano, really, it's been a closed border country, it's been isolated, and Oden even mentions, I don't even understand why that is, you know, I don't know why it's an isolated nation, but my dream is to open it up one day, and all of my retainers, the 9 red scabbards, they're located back in Wano. He's like, I think it's time that I return to my homeland, because the Shogun, Sukiyake, who's Oden's father, is apparently calling him back to the country. This is the point where I think he was going to be summoned to become the daimyo of the Curry region, and he was going to change things around and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, this is apparently, you know, over the time that we got when he was meeting with Yasuie, remember that? When the 9 red scabbards were all really young and everything, and Oden was there just kicked out of the capital. So I think that was even further back than this. I think it was that flashback maybe over 30 years ago, and then this flashback here after he leaves Wano, travels with Whitebeard for a little bit, traveled with Roger after that for their final journey, which I guess also means that, yeah, Shanks and Buggy were also there. That was something that was dubious for a moment. Like, were Shanks and Buggy also present when the Roger pirates arrived at Laugh-Tale? And that seems to be the case, right? So that's something that's confirmed. So yeah, I think that now that, you know, after his exploits on the sea, the Shogun, his father, Sukiyake, wants him to return to his homeland and become a daimyo, right? And maybe groom him to become the next Shogun, which makes sense considering Oden's pedigree, right? All right. So, he's like, I think it's time that I return to Wano, and I think it's time I try to change this country, and we shall see the fruition of this 20-year-old dream. And then he kind of raises up his sakezuki, his little sake cup thing, and everybody yells. It's like, yeah! You could see Seagull there. You could see a few other members of the Roger crew. He had a few more, like, larger guys. Like, Seagull was, he's not a giant, but Seagull's certainly a bigger kind of dude. We see other guys that are also about equal size to Seagull on the crew. So Roger had some big dudes on his crew, right? Now, I did see other translations of this moment where, in this version, he seems to imply this is a 20-year-old dream that, you know, he's had, you know, up until this point. So this takes place 25 years ago. So he's had this dream for, you know, 45 years ago is when it started. I've also seen another translation, though, that he's, like, implying that this is the beginning of a dream that will take 20 years to come to fruition. So both of those, I mean, make sense, considering maybe Oden, ever since he was a teenager, ever since he was a kid maybe, wanted to open up the borders of Wano, or he saw that the isolated nature of Wano is kind of, you know, wrong. He wants to change that. And it can also indicate that, yeah, that's the whole prophecy thing that Lady Toki laid out later. She's like, you know, in 20 years the Kozuki clan will appear and they will save all of Wano. So both of those make sense. I'm going to assume it's the dream, though, that Oden has been having ever since he was little, because, you know, this is before the Kaido and Orochi took over Wano. This was 25 years ago. They did that 20 years ago. That was before the prophecy with Toki and everybody. Though, he still could have met Toki at this point. You know, he still could have had Toki as his wife, and she has the power to see through time, apparently. So, yeah, that's definitely something that, could be possible, okay? So the Roger Pirates, I guess they sail back to Wano to drop him off and return him to his homeland, and everybody's cheering him on like, Oden, you can do this, we believe in you, you're a great guy, we love you, Oden. Oden is apparently the most amazing guy ever, all right? He's like, Whitebeard was charmed, and Roger was captivated by this samurai of Wano. And last chapter, we got that whole line about Sengoku talking to Akainu, and he was just like, you know, there's something strange about the samurai of Wano. That one particular samurai, Kozuki Oden, he seemed to inspire so many people. I wonder what's up with that guy. So yeah, is anyone else feeling like this is going to be a big reveal? Like we're going to find out something extremely significant about Oden? Like not just like he was a really strong samurai, but there's like something really important regarding Oden, something really important regarding all of Wano that like in the bigger picture of One Piece, like it connects back to the Void Century in a major way or something. You know, like I don't know how that would be, but we'll see where it goes, right? It just seems to be implying that. All right, so that's been 25 years since that day has passed, and now we get to drums all of a sudden. Who's playing the drum? Barry? Are you? No, you're not playing the drums. That doesn't make any sense. You don't even have any arms. Let's see here. Oh, wait. I know what this could mean. It's festival time! Yeah! All right, you everybody, get ready. Get your festival gear out. Go grab your yukatas and your kimonos and your fans and everything. I'll be right back, but I gotta get ready for the festival. All right. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's finally here. Ha-ha! Yes! We're ready to party! Are you guys ready to party? I'm ready to party. Are you guys ready to party? All right, let's do this. Okay, so Fire Festival time finally happening here. We have, of course, a bunch of people. This is actually really cool because normally when the acts of Wano change, it's Hiyori strumming her shamisen all by herself. But now, because we got this big festival, we got flute players, we got a bunch of people playing the shamisen, we got people banging the drums. It's this big, epic, bombastic beginning as the curtain opens on the Hakumai region of Wano at Habu Port. This is, of course, the only port of Wano, aside from the Mogura port. That's like the secret underground like port that Kaido's crew uses. But this is the only port that's actually still active on the shore of Wano, and that's, of course, where Lord Orochi is heading with his entourage, and they're getting on a boat, and they're heading off to Onigashima, so everybody's there to kind of give them a fateful farewell there. We learn a few things here. I'm going to put this stuff down. We learn a few things, though, about the Fire Festival. Okay, so yeah, it happens every year. We already figured that. Because Orochi is the one that is leaving the island proper, there has to be somebody to stay behind in the Flower Capital to kind of keep the peace and maintain order and everything. And apparently this duty shifts every year. This year it goes on Kyoshiro to guard the capital, which I'm sure he will not take any moment or opportunity to exploit in the slightest. We all know Kyoshiro is a trustworthy guy. I mean, come on, guys, right? But no, I'm assuming this, you know, maybe the Oniba one, they watch over the capital one year. Maybe the Elite Samurai Guard, they're in charge of it another year. But this year it just happened to fall on the Yakuza led by Kyoshiro, which, yeah, that's definitely going to lead to something. Also, on top of Orochi banning katanas and weapons to the people in Wano, he's also apparently banned alcohol. So yeah, he's not a great guy. So this is the one day a year where the citizens of Wano are actually allowed to drink booze. It kind of reminds me of the Soviet Union. They had a holiday, May Day, which was like, you know, it pretty much sucked to be in the Soviet Union all over the year, but then you get to May Day and it's like the one day where it's like, all right, you can have a festival at least. You know, it's not much, but that's all you really get, right? So this is kind of what the Fire Festival is. It's just like the people of Wano, they're very oppressed by Orochi and everything. They can't openly express that because then they'll get axed, but it's like, all right, yeah, this one day a year we're allowed to drink. Isn't that so nice of Orochi that he gives us this one day to drink? That's awesome. So yeah, the Fire Festival is in full swing. The capital is, you know, bumping. We find out here a little bit about the seasons of Wano. It doesn't go into detail exactly which regions or which seasons. You could kind of figure that out on your own. Like, Ringo is obviously the winter region. Hakumai, we see it in full view here, is the autumn region. We see the leaves falling, and autumn is my favorite season, Aki. So yeah, we see the leaves falling down on the port as the ships are sailing off to Onigashima, and you know, Orochi's there, and he's like, I am Lord Orochi! We shall drink to these pretty leaves! this is so cool. You know, so he's setting off to Onigashima there. However, there's, you know, different regions of Wano have different weather patterns, you know. So, for example, we could be in the Hakumai region and it can be a bright, sunny autumn day with a gentle breeze to push the ship gently out into Onigashima. And then right over on the other side in Udon, we could have a horrible thunderstorm that is causing absolute turmoil. But just gonna pause for that for a moment. I mean, that's just hypothetical. I mean, that doesn't actually have to be the case, right? Now, we got a few other things to talk about here, all right? So, a few people are preparing for the festival. One lady's, like, trying to get her hair right. There's this other person that's looking up at the sky and, very just not foreshadowing anything, I'm sure, just kind of offhandedly mentions that's like, man, it's a really clear sky. There's not a cloud in sight tonight. Wow, yeah, that full moon is, oh yeah, there is a full moon tonight. Yeah, that's gonna look really good. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, a full moon, I mean, that's pretty cool, you know, having a festival under moonlight, that's nice. Getting some cool battles in under the moon. Yeah, I'm sure that's the only purpose of a full moon could have. Oh yeah, also there's the, you know, special species in One Piece that turn into ravenous monsters that could devastate entire armies when the full moon is out, but that's probably not going to connect back to anything. Okay, we all figured there was going to be a full moon. I mean, come on. You have all the freaking minks there. Nekomamushi, though, still has yet to arrive. Inuarashi even mentions, he's like, where's that cat at? Did he get lost? You know, so obviously, I mean, you have all of the musketeers there with Inuarashi and everything. Wanda's there, Carrot's there. We're gonna see some Sulong action when this battle gets started when the sun goes down, alright? However, they did mention that the weather patterns change a lot in Wano. We're gonna see that very clearly in a moment. So it's possible that even if the moon comes out and all the minks transform and we get a really cool moment where they just charge and attack, clouds could be whipped up all of a sudden. Considering also Kaido is a dragon, don't know if you've heard, that can manipulate clouds in a way. So yeah, the moon could be out and the minks could be going crazy, Sulong transformation, like ripping through the army, and then all of a sudden, all Kaido has to do is transform into a dragon, and the whole sky goes dark, and the moon is covered. And Carrot explained that, yeah, the way to deactivate the Sulong is you just have to look away from the moon or wear special glasses. Like, it's been explained that it's like eye contact with the moon that triggers that transformation. And if you break eye contact with it, or if the moon goes away or obfuscates in some way, then, yeah, you can't maintain the transformation. So, yeah, this is gonna be tough. Unless you're like Vegeta in the Saiyan Saga and you could do that special key attack to summon a moon wherever you want, unless that's your thing, yeah, this isn't going to work. But we're still going to see some Sulongs, and that's going to be cool, right? Alright, so we have all that going on, but now it's time to see what the rebellion's up to, alright? So we have a happy send-off for Orochi, whatever. Now we cut over to the Udon, and keep in mind, this map of Wano right here, yeah, Habu Port is like right here, and Tokage Port is like right across the river. It's really not that far, so you don't expect the weather to change quite a... Ah, crap. So yeah, rain, and a lot of it, and swells, and thunder, and lightning, and it doesn't look like it's a great day for sailing, personally. I'm not a boat person guy, but I can tell that this probably isn't the best condition to be shoving off onto the open water, alright? So yeah, even though Onigashima is in sight, they could see it right from the shore. It's not really that far from the main island, right? Maybe if you get into a small rowboat, it might take you an hour or so to get out there, but it doesn't seem to be that far away. But the conditions here are awful, and so you have the scabbards that arrived there, you know, they were all walking through Udon with their, you know, casa hats and everything, and so they get to the shore there. They left a few days earlier, okay, because they had to get there before everybody else. But they get there, and nobody's there. And there's this massive storm. There's no ships. The ships were supposed to be there. All these 4,000-something men, like 4,200 samurai, were supposed to arrive there to help them. Luffy was supposed to be there. You get Law helping them out, and the Heart Pirates. Nobody's there. They're the only ones. And so Shinobu starts to cry, considering, you know, all the crap she's been through the last 20 years. That makes sense. Momo begins to freak out, and he's just like, what, Kinemon, we have to change the date, don't we? I mean, we can't sail in this. And there's no ships and everything, and so all the scabbards are kind of freaking out. Kinemon has this moment, though, It's a moment where I think he's trying to hold everything together, but it's really hard. It's just like, imagine, you know, it's like Clark Griswold. This is a National Lampoon's Vacation reference, but hey, that was a good movie, all right? That was one of my dad's favorite movies. I watched that so many times growing up. And it's like when they finally get to Wally World at the end of the movie, and it's an empty parking lot, and they get there and it's closed, and there's a moment right before Clark cracks where he's trying to, like, rationalize everything in his head. I'm getting that from Kinemon, where Kinemon's kind of, he gets there, and there's like a massive storm, and Shinobu's crying, and Momo's freaking out, and everyone's just like, oh, what are we gonna do? And Kinemon, you know, he's the leader of the Scabbards, so he's just like, Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We got this. Don't worry. We can handle this. It's just a little drizzle. Crack, you know, giant lightning strike. Just a little drizzle. You know, it's Wano. This crazy weather patterns happens. I hear it's because a while back there were giants that towed individual islands with different weather patterns and smashed them together, but that's neither here nor there. So where are our ships at? Conjuro's like, there's no ships. I'm like, no ships, huh? Yeah, okay, well, they might just be running a few hours, days late, but it's okay. We still have all of our men. How many people do we got? We just got us. I'm like, okay, we just got us. No ships and not good sailing weather. Hey, can we just take a raid check? You know, can we just, like, walk up to Kaido and just be like, hey there, buddy, we were gonna try to raid your fortress today and dethrone you and everything, but, the weather's not looking that good, so can we kinda just reschedule? I mean, maybe next week sometime when the weather's better, and Kaido's like, oh, yeah, that's fine, you know, people always try to dethrone me, it's pretty cool. Yeah, here you go, write some rain checks. So, yeah, this is bad. Really, 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 really bad. I mean, not even the weather. The weather is the least of their issues right now. It's just like, you know, you can't predict the weather. I mean, you don't have freaking, you know, meteorology in this freaking universe, okay? Nami's not around, so what are you gonna do about the weather, right? And Wano is already an unstable climate, as we've already explained for different reasons. But yeah, the fact that their soldiers are not there and the ships are not there, that's kind of the main problem there. They look around the port and they could see that there's like evidence of some destruction. Like there were people maybe here, but something happened and like things have been destroyed, and maybe there wasn't like a huge scale battle, but there was definitely something went down here. Something happened. So yeah, everybody's freaking out. Kinemon takes out his snail, his smart snail, which will be represented by the doctor's sonic screwdriver. Indeed. And he starts talking, and he's just like, yes, come in, Hyorogoru, how you doing? Where is everybody at? Oh, he's not responding. Luffy Dono, how you been? Hey, could you actually, remember when we shook hands a few days ago? Hey, could you guys come and help me out? Law? You there, buddy? Nekamamushi? Denjiro? That's a long shot. Hiyori? Onimaru? Yeah, Bartolomeo, are you there? Gats, that announcer guy from Dressrosa? Those Yeti Cool Brother dudes from Punk Hazard? Friggin' Gaimon, is anybody out there? Can anybody help me, please? Oh my god, you know. So he starts to freak out as he's talking on the snail. Nobody is responding. They can't get a connection to anybody. That honestly seems to be more of an issue regarding the connection. Maybe, you know, how they took out the snail at the Udon prison and that, because the snails have a weaker telekinetic path than the Den Den Mushi, alright? So you take out the boss snail and then the other ones don't work, alright? So that might be what's happening here. That seems like rather than everybody being wiped out, it seems more likely that Orochi did something to cut off their communications. Alright, so that makes more sense. But everyone's freaking out and they're shouting off into the seas, the raging winds and the waves crashing. They're like, what happened here? And he starts to break down even more than that. He starts to cry, he starts to weep. He's like, but this has This has been the thing we've been waiting for 20 years. We had to go through time travel to get here. We did all this Terminator crap, and Oden is our master, and we need to help him, and this is the moment. Come on, guys. This is a really bad time to stop for a freaking ice cream break or something. And so he starts to cry. Everybody else starts to cry because you're witnessing Kinemon. Kinemon's the leader of the Scabbards, right? And he starts to break down and bawl. So it's like, oh, what are we going to do? Ashura Doji kind of snaps him out of it. Ashura Doji's just like, snap out of it, Kinemon. Can't you see? The heavens themselves have turned against us. I'm just like, oh, that's not very positive. Come on, Ashura Doji. I was expecting him to give him some moment of clarity here. He's like, oh, snap out of it, Kinemon! Come on! It might be true that it's raining and thundering and we can't sail ships. And it might be true that we don't have ships either. And it might be true that none of our men showed up. But you always gotta look on the bright side of life. Come on, everybody, now. You always gotta look on the bright. Kiku joins in. You always gotta join in the bright. They're the only ones dancing. Everyone else is just like crying and like, life is over. Stop dancing. It's not helping. You know? So, yeah, Kawamatsu, he's doing a little thing. All right, yeah, no. This is not the time for happy dancing. All right, this is the exact opposite of a moment for happy dancing, okay? And so, it's Kanjuro that brings up, he's like, hey, yeah, something must have happened to them. I don't know what could have happened, but something must have happened to them. That's the only explanation, because literally, like, a few days ago, everything was fine. You know, we had an army of men willing to fight on the cause of the Kozukis. We had Luffy, we had Law, we had everybody ready to go, right? So yeah, they obviously just didn't all abandon us. Right? Like, yeah, they didn't all abandon you, but at this moment, at that moment of despair, I mean, that would definitely be a moment where you're like, oh, I hope they didn't abandon us. I mean, they probably didn't, but, you know, we didn't really know the Straw Hats all that well. We only knew them for maybe a month or so, and we didn't know them for that long, you know? Maybe they were trying to hamstring us the whole time. I don't know. So that's the end of the chapter, basically, with the Scabbards just on a rainy shore with nothing around. Inuarashi spots a tiny rowboat, and he's just like, well, there's a tiny boat here. I guess it's in good enough condition to sail. And so everyone's like, what are you doing, Inuarashi? You just can't jump in the boat and start sailing in these waters all by yourself to Onigashima. Then again, at this point, they've gone through all this stuff. I mean, if it only comes down to the 8 or 9 of them or whatever, because Neko's not there yet, if it only comes down to these guys, the Scabbards plus Shinobu and Momo, I mean, they're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to at least try. Like, we can't do it by ourselves. We're gonna get wiped out, but at this point, we have to try. This is kind of our last chance, right? So as Inuarashi is getting into the boat, we then cut over to Onigashima where Orochi has arrived and he's like chilling out with a bunch of Kaido's like sexy beast pirate women, you know, with the horns on their head and the revealing clip, kind of like Gene Rummy, and they're kind of hanging out there and Orochi's like, my life is awesome, you know, and then so we get the narrator coming on and saying, last night at the Tokage port, an incident occurred. End of chapter, break next week. Alright, so, Orochi, you sniveling, slimy lizard. Honestly, I mean, like, we did find out in one of the last chapters, I think the last act of Wano, that Orochi was privy to the information on Onigashima, at the Tokage port. He was aware that something was going on there, right? And once again, I mean, all you had to do was look at this, and I'm sure Orochi himself, I think he had some intelligence operatives figuring out, like, what this meant. I don't think Orochi figured it out himself, but, you know, all you did was add 2 lines to it. I mean, there's at least one person that works under Orochi that could decode this, right? So, yeah, or there could have been, like we said, there's a traitor in the midst. That could have been a mink. It could be another member of the rebellion that's pretending to be on their side, on the Kazuki clan side, but really not. A lot of people, I don't know if Oda is trying to get us dubious of Law right now, because like, ooh, Law got busted out of jail, and Law seems like he's not on the side of the Straw Hats anymore, so maybe it could be Law. Like, no, it's not going to be Law. If Law is the traitor, like a genuine traitor, like I said, I mean, Oda's a good writer. He can maybe spin that. Like I said, I made the whole comparison with Urahara from Bleach. You know, we thought that he was going to, like, there were people out there thinking that Urahara was going to be the final villain. And you had a moment where you're like, you don't want him to be, but it's like, well, I mean, it's not impossible for him to be. In this case, Law wouldn't be the final villain of One Piece, but it's like, he was actually pulling everybody behind the back the whole time. I'd be like, yeah, I don't want that to be the case. Please don't let that be the case. Not saying it's impossible to write it in somehow, but, you know, Law's not the traitor. Carrot can't be either, because she's a cute, adorable bunny. So, I'm gonna say Wanda. I'm gonna say Wanda's the traitor. Wanda this whole time. Yeah, that makes more sense, but especially because she's not Carrot. But yeah, so, yeah, the traitor in the midst let Orochi know about the situation at the Tokage port. Or, I mean, they could have done the same thing that I was saying, and they could have just, like, alright, Wano only has a few ports. Most of them are destroyed. Just send a few of your strong men and soldiers to these ports that are apparently destroyed, and just keep an eye on it. And if you start seeing people gathering there, then alert them like, hey, a bunch of people are gathering at the deserted Tokage port. We should probably deal with this. And then they send the Onibawan and the elite samurai to wipe it out. So what do I think happened? Well, alright, obviously we're not done. You know, it's like, oh, well, that was a short act. You know, it's over. No, okay, here's something that could have happened here. Because right now this storm is going on, right? It's kind of like a lot of despair. Can't really see. There's like fog and stuff. It's possible that the sun could come out and then the fog could lift, and then off in the distance they could see some ships coming, you know, led by Frankie. Because remember, Frankie did say when they were building the ships, he's like, we're gonna make enough ships for 10,000 men! And all the soldiers were just like, you know, all the shipwrights building the ships, they're just like, we're not gonna have nearly that many. We're not even gonna have half that much. And Frankie's just like, you know, I don't want any sass back. You make these ships. Maybe it's possible that they were making decoy ships. You know, fake ships. Well, not fake, you know, they're real ships. They're not like holograms or anything, but they were making decoy ships. And then those ships went to Tokage port and it made it look like, oh, that's the rebellion's beginning. So in case Orochi was going to try anything, he would wipe out those ships and call it a day. Orochi would be like, so they're they're gathering at the Tokage port to attack Onigashima, eh? All right then, men, watch the Tokage port. He's like, Lord Orochi, we see some ships approaching from the Curry region. Ah, that must be them! They think they can take me! Burn the ships to the ground! And then they fire arrows or whatever, fire arrows, and they like burn the ships to the ground and they sink. There might have been other men gathering, because I don't think Orochi was privy to how many men the Kozukis had on their side. It was just that there was supposed to be some sort of gathering there, right? So maybe there were a few people there as decoys also, and they managed to, you know, they made it look like they were defeated. And so Orochi called it a day. Orochi was just like, they think they can outsmart Orochi, do they? They thought they could gather at Habu Port? Well, I took them out. They think they could have gathered at Tokage Port? Well, I wiped them out there. Both of their best laid plans have failed. Well, I guess it's time to go get drunk now and just hang out with some sexy beast pirate ladies all day. Let's go, men! So, yeah, Orochi's probably sitting there like, I did it. I took care of it. There's no problem anymore. But yeah, I think they were like maybe, you know, doing decoys and stuff. And he's like, oh no, we have been rent asunder by Orochi's mighty sword. I think that's gonna happen. I think it's like the rain is going to separate, the clouds are gonna part, and then, you know, they're gonna be sitting there on the port crying, like Kinemon and Momo's like, they're hugging each other, like, it's okay, Momo, we'll be alright, we'll figure something out. And then all of a sudden, like, Frankie walks in from behind them, like, eating a corn dog or something. He's like, what are you guys freaking out about? Sorry, we were a little late. I mean, the rain was kind of crazy. We were hiding under that gazebo over there, you know, staying out of the rain. You want a corn dog? Just like, what? Huh? Oh, no, yeah, we're over there. Yeah, we launched some decoy ships over on this side of the port. They just wiped it out. They're idiots. They think that, you know, we're all dead. Yeah, we're actually all over there. And they just point off to the other side of the port, and everyone's like, hello! 4,200 people are like, hey, come on, guys, let's go! We're in this tiny little inlet or something. Maybe it might not be, like, that comedic, you know, or just like this moment of absolute despair, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, everything's cool, let's go. But I think that is going to be the case, you know, they're not just going to ixnay like, oh yeah, those 4,200 samurai you had, they're all gone. All those ships we had that we fixed up, we spent all those chapters working on, yeah, they're all gone too. You know, like, no, they're still going to be around, right? So, yeah, I think this this is really a moment just a flashback because we did cut over all those days. We passed over like most of those days of training. I figured Oda was going to do that. Oda was like, all right, we're skipping over 5 days all of a sudden. Now it's the day of the Fire Festival, but we're also going to get some flashbacks so he has some time to work with, so he can put some stuff in that intermediate time, all right, so we can reveal stuff later on in the story. It's a pretty tricky move there, Oda, but I guess I'll go along with it, right? So, yeah, we're going to find out that Orochi, he did something, you know, dastardly here, you know, twirling his mustache, but it didn't really, they saw it coming. It was so obvious that they saw it coming and they were able to get one over on Orochi, and now they won't be expecting the rebellion. That's the point. You know, now they can get a sneak attack, okay? Now they think everything's taken care of. They're going to be drinking away to their heart's content on Onigashima, and they're not going to worry about anything. And then that's when, all of a sudden, you know, 20 minks all armed to the teeth in Sulong form rain down from the sky. You know, also I think Nekomamushi might show up at this point. Neko might show up and be like, oh no, guys, we're here too. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. That's the review. Kind of say, like I said, a shorter chapter this week, really just focusing on the beginning of the Fire Festival, but it was really cool to see the flashback with Roger and Oden, and yeah, next week is probably, well, not next week, but 2 weeks from now, probably going to be another flashback to what happened the night before the Fire Festival. So yeah, I'm sure it will be filled with Orochi's dastardly schemes. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and let's get moving on to festival time. Yes, festival time.